Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum class. I welcome you to English grade 8 video lessons. I'm your instructor Zia Hamid. I hope that you're doing well and all ready and set to learn about something new, a new SLO that we will be covering in this unit number 4, the wise and the wicked. We will be covering an SLO from the competency of grammar. This is our lecture number 3 and we are talking about simple past tense. Now, let's read our students' learning outcome to see what we are supposed to do and how can we achieve it by the end of our video lesson. So, our SLO is use all types of tenses correctly in speech and writing. Now, the SLO is very general. It's about using all types of tenses correctly. But now, my dear learners, I would like to tell you that we are dealing with our past simple tense in this video lesson, and the rest of the tenses will be dealt in any other upcoming lecture. Here is a vertical linkage of our SLO with the previous grade, and this was also about simple past tense. I hope that you can recall and you can retain most of the information from your brain and your understanding about simple past tense. Now, here for your brainstorming session in today's video lesson, we have a very interesting question about the past tense. How can we describe things or happenings from the past? Something that has already happened, it has already happened in the past. Now, if you want to tell a story or tell about any routine or habit or any action, how would you tell it in the past simple tense? Can you think about it? What are the words or kind of sentences that we use to make our past simple tense used in a sentence? Now, after this very quick brainstorming session, let's move on to our topic, which is about past simple tense. Now, if you remember from the previous grade, the simple past tense is used to indicate an action completed in the past. It often occurs with adverbs or adverb phrases of past time. So, we use it to indicate an action that has already been completed in the past, and we can use adverbs or adverb phrases of the past time. For example, Ping lived with his parents in a wooden cottage in a countryside village. Now, this sentence in which we used simple past tense, you can clearly see the form of verb used, and also we told about the place where it happened, and we added adverb phrase also of the past time. So, she taught him everything she knew about gardening. Now, this one does not have any adverb or adverb phrase. It's just a simple past tense. He left school last year. Now, this one has an adverb of time, which is telling us that it happened last year. Now, all these are simple past tense with or without adverbs or adverb phrases, but they have something in common. They are all in the past and in the simple form. You can clearly see that the verbs have been used in the second or third forms to show that it has happened in the past. Sometimes this tense is used without an adverb of time. In such cases, the time may be either implied or indicated by the context. Now, let's look at some examples. Ping filled a flower pot with rich soil, or I did not sleep well. Now, here in this example, no time is shown without and no adverb is used, but it is implied that the speaker or the writer is talking about last night. And in this example, you can clearly see that there is no adverb of time, no adverb phrase whatsoever. So, the simple past is also used for past habits. We use simple past tense to show habits that we used to have in the past or somebody used to have in the past and that are not being practiced as we speak. So let's look at some example. He used to study many hours every day, or she always carried an umbrella. Now this is showing habit or routines. Now, my dear learners, there are two kind of verbs, regular and irregular. When a regular verb, we call it because we use the simple ed or d at the end of the word to change it into a past form. This is what we call a regular verb, but an irregular verb is one in which when we change it into the past form or past participle, we make a different word. Let's look at some examples. For regular verbs, the base form will be walk or discuss. Now, if you change it in the past tense, it will be walked or discussed. The ed is added at the end. This makes it a regular verb. For irregular verb, it forms their past tense and their past participle in a different way. For example, the word sit and eat, when they are used in the past tense, they will be sat and ate. Now, we did not use any ed or d at the end, rather the word is changed. So, such words and such verbs are called irregular verbs. Now, let's move on. Let's see that when do we use our past simple tense. Now, we use it to show a complete action, an action that has been completed already in the past. So, to show that, we use past simple to talk about actions or events that happened at a specific time in the past and are already finished or completed. So, when this situation arises, we use our past simple tense. For example, I visited the zoo yesterday, or she visited Paris. Now, this action has already been completed and it's not in the process right now. It happened in the past and it was complete at that time. So, we call it our complete action, and we use past simple tense to show such actions. Now, another one is describing your routines or habits, or somebody else's routines or habits. It can be used to describe actions that were habitual or routine in the past. For example, they went to the park last weekend. I ate pizza for dinner. Now, all these two sentences are showing us a habit or a routine. So, now let's talk about the different forms of past simple tense. There are three forms: positive, negative, and question form. Let's get started with positive form. You start with the subject and add the past form of the verb and pay attention to the regular and irregular verbs. For example, starting with the subject, adding the past form of the verb. I walked in the sand. Now, this is a positive form because we started with the subject, we added the past form of the verb, which is walked, and this is also a regular verb because we added ed at the end. So if somebody asks you what kind of verb is it, you will say it's a regular verb. And what kind of tense is this? It's a simple past tense in the positive form. For example, we went to the zoo last weekend. So again, this is positive. We used subject first, then the past form of the verb, and followed by the information that we are giving. Again, you can see that this verb is actually not regular, rather it's irregular because the verb is actually go. And if you transfer it in the past tense or the past form, it becomes went. So it is completely changed. That's why we call it irregular verbs. So now you can identify that what kind of verb is used in the tense, whether it's regular or irregular. Now, for the negative form, if you want to write something or speak in the negative form of past simple tense, you will use did not, or the contraction or short form of did not, which is didn't. They both can be used before the base form of the verb. The verb will be used in the base form um, in the first form, because we are already using did not or didn't in the past form. For example, so now you want to form a negative sentence. They didn't eat pizza for dinner yesterday. It is a negative form of past simple tense. We used our subject and didn't or did not to show the negative form, followed by the rest of the sentence. Now, another example is he didn't study for his exam last night. Subject followed by did not or didn't. So this is how you form a negative form, a negative sentence in the past simple form. Now you can see that here we used our base form of verb, which is eat and study. Why not ate and studied? Because we have already used do in the past form, which we call did not. So it is already used, so you don't need to change the verb in the other form. Now, for the question form, we begin with did, add the subject, and then add the base form of the verb. So exactly like we did in the negative form, we will be using the base form of the verb, and we do not change it into any other form. Let's look at some examples. Did she visit the zoo last weekend? Now, what comes first? Did. Did comes first, and then our subject, and then the base form of the verb, which will be the first form, visit. Did she visit the zoo last weekend, or did he do his homework yesterday? You can see your word did will come first, then your subject, and then the base form of the verb. This way you can easily make a question form of past simple tense. Now, after learning about all these different forms of verbs, now you can watch this simulation link to learn more about past simple tense. This is your classroom activity that you are supposed to do. You will be using simple past tense using the given verbs in parentheses. The verbs are given in the parentheses. Now you have to make them into the simple past tense. Now, for your homework, you have to write about an event happened in the past using past tense. And you will be using your past simple tense or simple past tense, and keep the different forms of past simple tense in your mind in case if you want to make all these different kind of forms. Now, here is your worksheet attached with the description with other resources, and for your resources, we have all these available in the description of the video. My dear learners, thank you for listening. I hope that you are very much clear about past simple tense, what it is, and also when do we use them in our sentences, whether it's in writing or in speech. And we also saw the 3 different forms of past simple tense with examples. Now, I hope that you are very much clear about the SLO and you have a sense of achieving it by the end of our lesson. Thank you. Till the next video lesson. Allah Hafiz.